is quite a busy slide. I suggested you actually read this afterwards because there's a lot of interesting points on here. What do investors look for in the companies to come and list a name? It's a very, very important point because you are unfortunately one of 1,150 companies already quoted on name. You have to make yourself attractive somehow to the investors, otherwise you won't attract the financing. And there's a lot of interesting points here on this slide as to things that people do look for. But what I thought I'd just try and do here is just simplify the whole story massively. And in the eyes of someone who's an equity analyst and someone who talks to investors frequently, what do they actually look for, what do they want? And the good news is it's actually very simple. And I think I can distill this down to 2 points. The first one is you've got to have a good story to tell the market. It's really that simple in terms of the equity story. Things that aren't good is a business that's overly complex, overly diversified, involved in too many things, complex financial structures. All these things act as barriers between you and the investor. Much better is to do one thing and to do it extremely well, to be able to show the market you can do it well. The story needs to be well packaged and easily explained to a fund manager. The fund manager you're dealing with, these guys, they're generalists. They don't necessarily have specialist knowledge in everything that you might do. So you need to find a way of encapsulating the story and explaining to them in a very clear, logical way. And frankly, that's where your advisors, particularly people, like your stockbrokers, are absolutely fundamental in getting that point home. The second point that makes life very easy for you in raising capital is track record. If you have a demonstrable track record as managers of your business and as the business itself, of being able to make money and generate value for the business, you will make your lives very, very much easier in terms of raising capital. I think the other points in this slide deserve attention, and we can talk about those more on an individual basis now. So what's it actually like to be a publicly quoted company? I think the first point I'd like to make here is do not underestimate the amount of time and effort that's required to interact with your investors and the market in general. Very important point. To do this, you need to learn to lean on your advisors heavily for advice. That's what we're here for. We've done this all before many, many times, so we can explain to you exactly how you need to spend your energies in relation to the market. And you need to have a mutual trust and regular communication with your nomad. That's extremely important. I think if you have any doubts about what you should be telling your investor, telling your nomad, tell them everything. And they will work out what is important and what you need to tell the market and what isn't. I think the key point in that is that advisors are not telepathic. So you need to come and talk to us and tell us. The other thing you need to do is commit to a continual flow of information to the market to keep the story fresh in the market's mind. And you also need to commit to spending some time in London with your advisors, with investors, and with potential investors. 2 to 4 trips per annum would be kind of normal and helpful. And to attract you, we've got good shopping, and it doesn't rain as much in London as Mumbai either. So in summary from this is you need to help us to help you, and we will do the best we can to get you in front of investors to shape your equity story. Final thing I'd like to talk to you just now is what should you look for in an advisor, specifically talking here about your investment bank. And I think there's 2 key points. First of all, the investment bank that you hire will be absolutely fundamental in positioning your company's investment case in investors' minds. And not only that, not only just putting it in their minds, but keeping it in their minds. You need to look for an advisor that isn't there just for the IPO, but there post the IPO to keep the story going, keep the ball rolling, keeping investors' interest if the markets are open, if you need to come back for capital. And the second thing you really need is to keep these stories going so you can access the markets for further capital raising should you require it. So what I've done here is just put together a little checklist of things you might want to ask your advisor. of all, obvious question, what do they actually know? Your company will be in some specialist sector. What does the investment bank actually know about that space? Are the experts in the power sector, the experts in natural resources, or whatever? And fundamental to this actually tends to be the equity analyst. You need to talk to him, understand what his experiences in the sector, how many deals has he done, what does he know about what you're doing. Because at the end of the day, he's going to be packaging your investment story in a way that the fund manager can access it. So that's an important point. Another important point is what fundraising experience does the investment bank have. That's quite easy to get the data on that in terms of how many IPOs they've done, follow-on fundraisings, what's the experience of the individuals within the business in terms of accessing the capital markets. You should do your due diligence there. Another important point is who do they actually know in terms of investors. And if necessary, you could even ask them for references from key investors to make sure that those sort of lines of access to capital are open. The fourth point, ongoing marketing. As I just said, your investment bank needs to be there obviously for the IPO. They also need to be there post-IPO to help keep the story of your company positioned in investors' minds. This is important in terms of achieving the right sort of valuation for your business. It's also very important for being able to access the capital markets post-IPO as well. And the final point, I guess, you need to look for some chemistry. Do you actually get on with your advisors? Because you're going to spend a lot of time with them, particularly in terms of getting documentation together for IPO. You're going to spend a lot of time on the road with them during IPO. And there's got to be, as I say, good trust and good communication beyond the IPO. So if you don't get on with them, it's not going to be a lot of fun. So that's all I'd like to say at this stage. And I'll pass you on to the next speaker from Thank you.